My name is Regan Allen, Chairperson, Community Safety, Cultural Affairs and Sport in the Western Cape Provincial Parliament. We are here today to discuss and deliberate on the Western Cape Adjustments Appropriation Bill, specifically Vote 13. I'm going to, at this time, allow members to introduce themselves for the record.
Good morning, Chairperson, Lorraine Botha.
Good morning, Chairperson, Gillian Bosman.
Morning.
Good morning, Chairperson. My name is Ayanda Barnes. Thank you.
Thank you so much, members. I have not received any apologies from any other member in this regard. However, we are quorum for today. At this time, please, if I can briefly allow the minister to introduce herself together with the team that is with her here today.
Good morning, Chair, and good morning to all the members. I'm Andrew Marie, as you all know, and I'm going to ask HOD Guy Redmond to introduce himself and the committee, the department. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister.
Good morning, Chairperson. We have our CFO, Ms. Brenda Rachtes, Ms. Jane Leleki, who is the Director for Arts and Culture, Dr. Lyndon Bauer, Mr. Devereux Flando, Chairperson, is here representing Mr. Julius, who is currently on leave. We've got Ms. Jackie Bull, Mr. Lwando Ntamo, who is accompanying the CFO, and we've got Mr. Michael Janse van Rensburg, Ms. Nomaza Dingayo, we've got Mr. Paul Hendricks, and then we've got Mr. Peter Yoho representing Ms. Cecilia Sani. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you so much, members, together with the Minister and the HOD. Once again, I trust that you are welcome. This is a public hearing as well in terms of the appropriations, which we usually refer to the Blue Book, which was distributed to all the members yesterday. I will state again, the purpose of our meeting here today is to discuss Vote 13, to deliberate on Vote 13, which is Cultural Affairs and Sport, in the schedule of the Western Cape Adjustments Appropriations Bill of 2021. At this moment, I will get straight into it and afford the Minister and the HOD the opportunity to make any introductory comments if they so wish. Any comments from you, Minister, or the HOD?
I do have some comments. Thank you, Chair. Ek wil net sê die afgelope jaar was in 'n sekere sin moeiliker as die vorige jaar. En gelukkig kan ek bevestig dat die departement na die beste van hulle vermoë die pad gelyk gehou het en 'n daadwerklike verskil gemaak het ten opsigte van die fisiese en geestesgesondheid op al die terreine. En dankie vir die komitee wat ons op ons tone gehou het. Baie dankie, dis al van my kant af.
Baie dankie, Minister. HOD.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Good morning again to the Chairperson and the members, as well as good morning to the Minister. Just a quick high-level summary, Chairperson. The department's budget increased by 2.5 million, from 897 million to 900 million. The COVID-19 again impacted the department in the current financial year, which resulted in delays in the rollout of some of our programs, and the key ones are the ECM program. There was a delay in the completion of the archaeological and paleontological heritage tourism route, as well as upgrading of the Philippi Stadium to ensure that it was SASRIA compliant. Due to the delays, the department had to realign its budget and surrender 13.9 million to the Provincial Treasury to be reallocated in the 2022-23 financial year. Own revenue decreases by 1.4 million, and mainly due to the impact of COVID-19 lockdown regulations on our operations. An amount of 5 million in respect of compensation of employees was surrendered to the Provincial Treasury, mainly due to various delays in the filling of posts and resignations. An amount of 830,000 was also received from the Department of Education to fund the at-home learning pilot project in the Cape Winelands district, which is part of the after-school program. Department then, you'll notice, Chair, also received 15.4 million for extended school program for youth to be held over the December holiday period. The program is intended to keep youth and children engaged in various positive activities and programs during the festive period. The department also, with respect to rollovers, had its applications approved by the Provincial Treasury, and we received an amount of 6.8 million for expenditure committed as at 31st March 2021. We present our adjusted estimate budget for the 21-22 financial year to the committee. Thank you very much, Chairperson.
Thank you so much, HOD. Members, on that note, it is now 9:21. We have 1 hour in order to engage and to discuss Vote 13. I trust that members have received the relevant documents, which was also forwarded by our extremely capable procedural officer, Mr. Wasim Matthews. Mr. Matthews, can I just first, before we get into the specific vote, did we receive any request from any member of the public?
Good morning, Chairperson and all present. There were no requests for presentations by anyone from the public, Chair.
Thank you so much. That's duly noted. Members
Chair.
on...
Sorry, Chair, there is an apology for member Ego.
Thank you so much.
Submitted ahead of time. Thank you.
Thank you so much. My apologies, I missed that one. We send our thoughts and prayers to him during this time as well. Members, on that note, as you will be aware, it's Vote 13 in the specific blue book from pages 307 until 314 will deal with the details of the adjustment. Thereafter, the actual payments, which is 315 and 316, the expenditure trends, and the summary of receipts on 318. Thereafter, I will then table the entire annexures, which is 321 to 325. Members, if you are able to, by the raise your hand function, is there any question or point of clarity from pages 307 to 306? I see 2 hands. I see Member Botha and Member Marais in that order.
Chair, I'm just clarifying with you the pages that you have just mentioned.
Thank you. I will repeat. In terms of the Vote 13, which commences from page 307, I will at this time table 307 to page 310. So sorry, that's correct, yes. 307 to 310. Is there any questions?
Then I have to pause. I'm on 314, so I'll wait.
No problem at all. Member Marais?
I have difficulty in watching you on TV and looking at the schedules, actually, page by page. I don't have both on my screen. So you will have to excuse me. I cannot refer specifically to pages here, although I just received the schedule about a few minutes ago. I got it into my inbox. My questions could cover pages you are not referring to, so I'm prepared to hold it back until you say any additional questions, because I might be asking something on page 12 and you say, no, we're only on page 4 now, because I'm not following it page by page. With your permission, I just have 3 questions which I will ask at the end, unless somebody brings it up before I ask it, then I will add on my little bit.
Thank you so much, Member Marais, and welcome to your presence is appreciated. Members, if you allow me, if we can then do the entire details of the adjustments, which is 307 to 314. Is there any point of clarity, any question?
I would like to then come in if that is the case, Chairman.
No problem at all. In the order, Member Botha and then Member Murray.
Thank you very much, Chair. I'm therefore then on page 314, and I am speaking on the sport and recreation, that shift at 523,000. I just want to check with the department, the at-home learning pilot project in the Cape Winelands. What is the when will this pilot become a full rollout? What is the expectancy of the full rollout? And if the department can just briefly talk to the content of it, and then also the content in regard to sport and recreation, the holiday programs over the December holiday period 2021. What does it entail, and in what districts will this program be happening or rolled out, and what's the dates during December that the program will be active, and just speak to the content of this program in regard to the youth, and how was the youth informed that these programs will happen in the different districts. And Chairperson, I'd also just, now I lost my train of thought. Yeah, let me leave it at that. If you will allow me, I will follow up. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Member Murray.
Thank you so much, Chairperson. Chairperson, I just want to, there's a few remarks I would like to make. I don't know, heritage is a very big feature in this country because we have multitude of communities who boast of different heritages. So I thought there would be more of a focus on heritage assets. But I see the budget says no. I would like an explanation for that, especially the Khoi people who's now become very nationalistic, and nationalism is growing great leaps amongst the various Khoi people. But I see nothing on heritage assets. And then I'd like to know the extra money the NPOs get, extra 20 million. Which NPOs are these? Are they connected to culture or sport? What is it possible that we can, before the main budget vote is debated in the House, the second reading, can we then have that 20 million that the NPOs got extra? What was it for? And then the households. 650,000 rand. Where did the extra monies go to? What did you give? Food parcels, or what is this under households? This 650,000 rand, and then of course the last thing. There's always a list of vacancies. The department says they save money because it didn't fill the vacancies. How did that impact on efficiency in that department if there's so many vacancies? Can they do without those people? Why are the positions still vacant? Or don't they really need those positions at a time when there's so much unemployment? I do not expect to hear departments tell me they couldn't find manpower if millions are unemployed. I'd like to know why. Thank you.
Thank you so much, members. I see no other hands at this time. I am covered in terms of the provincial funding, the 15.456 million for the program for the December holidays. So on that note, HOD and Minister, I will hand straight over to the department for answers and input.
Thank you very much, Chair. This is how we shall respond. The CFO will come in first and pick up some questions, especially around households and any other questions she may want to cover. Thereafter, she will be followed by Ms. Jackie Bull, who will cover the at-home learning question as well as the holiday program question. She will then be followed by Mr. Janse van Rensburg, who will cover the heritage question, and Ms. Mleleki, if CFO has not covered the extra money for the NPOs, Ms. Mleleki will come in there. So that's the order in which we will answer them. I will just begin with the one around the vacancies, just to provide some context for the members on the delays in the filling of the vacancies. So there are a number of reasons why we would have delays in the filling of vacancies. One of the key ones is the impact of COVID-19 on the processes of filling of vacancies. But something else that also happens is that all vacancies that are older than 5 years, should they become vacant, in other words, through a resignation, there is a process that has to be followed to re-look at that or re-evaluate that particular vacancy. The job spec of that particular vacancy goes through a process which is dealt with by DOTP. And then once they've re-evaluated that particular job spec, it then comes back to DCAS for re-advertising. So that process normally takes some time, and with a resignation, you never know and are able to prepare in advance. At least with the retirements, you're able to prepare in advance for such. So those are the main key causes of delays in filling of vacancies. Within the context of DCAS, we also had a significant number of vacancies coming out of the special funding that was made available to us to capacitate Heritage Western Cape. There were 8 positions there, and there were some positions in the archives. And because of delays in the previous financial year, those delays impacted the filling of those vacancies in the current financial year, because you'll recall there was we did report in our annual report that we did put a freeze in the filling of vacancies and prioritized only key vacancies during the 2020 year in the middle of COVID-19. When we then gave permission for departments to proceed with that, there were then delays because that had to be moved out. So we're talking about 8 positions in Heritage Western Cape. All those positions have already subsequently been filled in HWC. All those staff are already within DCAS. So those are the reasons. It's not that the positions are not needed. It is just slight delays, movement of a position that was scheduled to be filled in July, then gets filled in November or something like that. So I'll now hand over to the CFO, and she'll be followed by Ms. Jackie Bull, and then followed by Mr. Janse van Rensburg. CFO.
Thank you, HOD. Good morning, Chair, colleagues, and members. So I'll start off with the additional funding for NPOs. So basically what we've done during the adjusted estimates, we realigned our budget, okay? So the reason why we did that was so that we are able to increase the funding for EPWP. So members will recall last financial year, we had to reduce our budget. We had a budget cut. So we had to cut across the entire vote. And in the current financial year, we basically reprioritized and realigned so that we are able to sustain the same number of EPWP beneficiaries. So that's the one. The other question is around households. So households, it's also realignment of the budget to be able to incur the cost for leave gratuity. And that is mainly for staff that had left the department, either due to resignation or retirement. So generally we don't budget for it. And when we get to the adjusted estimates, we use it as an opportunity to realign our budget so that we are able to cover the cost for leave gratuities. I think those 2 were the ones that I needed to respond to. Thank you.
Thank you, Jackie.
Thanks very much. So first of all, on the at-home project, just to say that this was an innovation during COVID, together with the Department of Education and the Department of Economic Development and Tourism and ourselves, where we looked at how we respond to the number of kids who were not able to be in the classroom and to mitigate some of the challenges that these young people would face by not being able to go to school. So the at-home learning project places young unemployed youth as big brothers and sisters who run a reading as well as a fun interactive program, visiting homes and workshops with parents, as well as activities in the street with learners. It's been run in 13 hubs, 12 of them are in the Cape Winelands and 1 is in the West Coast. And it was a pilot year because we wanted to test how it all went. The program has been hugely successful, and we have 13 learners who were not in school, who've been, because of either health or neglect issues, who've been transitioned into schooling. We've had a couple of learners that have had medical interventions, and then we've had loads of workshops with parents and a number of children participating in the activities. And in the next calendar year, it will be expanded to more areas in the Cape Winelands, to the Eden District, and more areas in the West Coast. And then as funding becomes available, it will be expanded to other areas. It's a partnership with government and the whole of society. So a number of NGOs are involved in the program, and they mentor and hold the youth while supporting them in the program. And going forward, it will have a kind of younger kids component and an older kids component, which will include homework support. So that's the at-home learning project. I think it's been a hugely successful project, and it will definitely be expanded next year, and hopefully as funding becomes available, it will be rolled out across the province. Moving on to the holiday program. The holiday program is being offered in partnership with local organizations because of being in the eye of the fourth wave of COVID. It's very important that learners and children who are participating in the holiday programs are not traveling between communities. So it's going to focus on community-based activities in different communities where there are existing partners. There will be about 30 odd communities where the programs will be taking place. We're just waiting for the finalization of that list, and they are all with organizations who are already established in the community and working in those communities. It will run from the 15th of December through to the 18th of January, which is the holiday period. And in some communities, it runs throughout that period. In other communities, it runs till just before Christmas and then picks up again after New Year. It just depends on the dynamics in different communities. And the program that has been offered is an integrated program with a recreational component, including some fun sporting and physical fitness, some arts components, some reading components, and a lot of life skills built into the program throughout. All of the programs will also create opportunities for unemployed youth, in addition to leveraging off the skills and expertise of existing partners. I think that answers it, HOD. If there's anything else, feel free to add.
Thank you, Jackie. I'd like to hand over to Mr. Janse van Rensburg and also mention that Ms. Mleki's question has already been answered by the CFO. Michael?
Thank you very much, HOD. Good morning, members. I would like to respond to the question on heritage assets and the spending on heritage in the province. It's a relatively, I think it's quite a big question, but a very important question, and I would just like to provide a very brief overview. because funding of heritage for us is a priority, and it's something that contributes greatly to our department's vision to create a socially inclusive, creative, active and connected Western Cape. Now, heritage is a catch-all phrase that involves both museums in the province, heritage, and then also geographical names. On the museums front, the spending of the department is roughly about 60 million for the year, and the museums in our province, we've got 31 affiliated museums, and they cater towards the protection and preservation of heritage through collections management of artifacts, and then the promotion of that through its exhibitions and educational programs throughout the province. Then on the heritage specific, members will recall that we also run the public entity HWC, and which the investment specific for the entity roughly per year is around about 2 million. But for the heritage resource management within the department collectively, it's roughly about 10 million. I think CFO can just correct me if I'm wrong, but it's in that vicinity per year, which is for all the staff that's also seconded to HWC. And HWC is responsible for the protection and promotion of heritage assets. Members will recall that the most recent provincial heritage sites that were unveiled by HWC was the Blauberg Nature Reserve and the Princess Flay. Now, the department is responsible for funding HWC, and we've transferred 550,000 initially to HWC to sustain its operations in this financial year. And then we also made further funding available through this budget adjustment of an amount of just over 300,000 as an additional amount to ensure that HWC is appropriately funded. And then I would also just like to provide or just remind members of the catalyst projects, heritage related, that the department is involved with. That's the Resistance Liberation Heritage Route with the 3 anchor sites, the Tussen die Riviere, the Madiba House and Robben Island. And then our other key catalyst project is the Cradle of Human Culture with the conservation of archaeological sites at Diep Kloof, Blombos and Pinnacle Point. So we absolutely welcome this question, and it was an important question with regards to the funding. We can obviously provide more detail, but just to emphasize those points to show that heritage and the funding of heritage in the province is front and center for the department. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Chair. Those would be our responses for the first round of questions. Just to add as well to the delays in filling of vacancies, there were also 2 key vacancies that were slightly delayed. The filling of the HOD vacancy, as well as the filling of the Director Museums Heritage. They were, I think the position became vacant for the HOD in April, and it was filled in August. So that gap makes up for some of the money that would become savings, and likewise with the Director of Museum. So those positions also contributed. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you, HOD. Members Botha and Marais, your hand is still raised. Is that in terms of a follow-up in terms of pages 307 to 314?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
You may go ahead in that order again, Member Botha and then Member Marais.
Thank you very much, Chair. And thanks, Member Marais, because your hand was raised before mine. I just wanted to ask in regard to the at-home learning pilot project, the service provider on the West Coast, if I could have that. And then also in regard to the service providers for the holiday program, if we could also have that. And then what's the contingency if the regulations, the COVID lockdown regulation does not allow or infringes upon this program? What's the plan B? Thanks.
Baie dankie, Member Marais.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, I noticed that they are spending, this department is spending money on children who stay at home and is not in classes. I was just curious to know, how come you want to take over the Department of Education's role here? Has there been some type of agreement that you will pick up the tab for education? And if that is the case, why are you not also assisting then, if you have extra cash, on the Children's Commissioner? There's a lot of underspending on the Children's Commissioner, especially in terms of their office. And if you consider education as a cultural issue, how much more the development of the youth? And we don't have even an office for the Children's Commissioner. And if again underspent on that, just something I noticed, and I would just like clarity on it. Why does culture now venture into education?
Thank you, Member Marais. I will afford the Minister and the HOD for reply in that regard.
Thank you very much, Chair. Ms. Jackie Bull will cover Member Botha's questions, including the contingencies that we have. And I will respond to Member Marais' question, and I'll kick off with that. Member Marais, the work that we do with children in the at-home project are centered and anchored by one of our biggest spending areas in DCAS, and that is libraries. Libraries have the biggest budget in DCAS, and one of our biggest programs in DCAS is literacy development. So whilst it is a cultural practice, it has positive outcomes in the education space. But reading is a program and a fundamental delivery area of DCAS with the highest spend, bringing in the conditional grant and also the provincial budget that we contribute towards the running of libraries, 375 libraries across. So the key element here of these programs is reading, and then there are other, as Ms. Bull indicated earlier, other support interventions or programs that include the arts, that include recreation, etc. But it is all anchored around reading. I'll now hand over to just to cover the Children's Commissioner. We are working very closely with the Children's Commissioner. In fact, in our strat session that we had in August, she was invited as a guest speaker. And there are a number of activities that we are looking at to work more closely with her. She has visited a number of our mod centers throughout the province, and we are definitely quite aware of the work that she's doing, and we will continue to take any interventions that come out of that. One of the ones that she recommended was an annual report for children, and that is something that DCAS is looking into to make sure that children have a clear understanding of what is due to them by government in documents that are written in a language that they will understand, which is something that we found quite exciting as DCAS, and is something that we are wanting to take forward and explore. And that intervention was brought to us by the Children's Commission. So we are working very closely with the Children's Commissioner. Ms. Bull.
Thanks very much. So the service provider that we're working with on the West Coast is SCORE and Hope Through Action. And they have a center, one of the hubs is in Malmesbury, and that's where the program is taking place. In terms of the at-home learning project, also just to add to what the HOD has already said, as I mentioned earlier, this is a partnership initiative between ourselves, the Department of Education, and the Department of Economic Development and Tourism. So I think our focus, as HOD said, comes in on the reading, but also on some of the kind of broader after-school activities. Then on the contingency plans for the holiday program, all of the partners have been asked to put in place contingency plans which involve providing at-home learning resources, so resources to learners, resource packs to learners, which can be done at home with their parents. And all of them have built that in. So if we are not able to do gatherings of any kind, even if they're small, then the packs will be provided and with a guide for the parents on how to support their children doing the activities. I think the main thing that we're worried about over this period, it's a long holiday, and I think many communities have had a lot of stress on them, is that kids have fun, engaging activities that enable them to keep developing and learning over this period while having fun. Also, just to note that one of the advantages of structured programming is that we can also ensure that there is COVID compliance, which very often in the streets there isn't. And so a big advantage of having a localized community-based program where people aren't traveling but are just in their localities is that one can then ensure that there is some compliance, which often doesn't happen if kids are just playing on the street. I hope that answers the question.
Thank you so much to the department. HOD?
No, I was going to say thank you, Chair. That will be all.
No, much appreciated, members. We will be requesting additional information in writing and questions directly after we have concluded today during our state where we are able to discuss resolutions and requests for information. Please allow me to then go on to page number 315 and 316 on the actual payments. Is there any specific question on those two pages? I see one hand, Member Barnes.
Thank you, Chair. Are you saying only on 315 to 316?
That's correct, yes. Okay,
let me just ask one then. My question then is on page 317 under the transfer subsidy. Subsidy transfers increased by 26.06 due to early transfer from municipalities. I just want to be clarified, Chair, why early transfers to municipalities? What was that all about? If we can just be enlightened with information on that. Thank you, Chair. That's my only question for now.
HOD, I'll give over to you.
Thank you very much, Chair. That will be handled by the CFO, and if needs be, if, Mr. Yoho would like to add, but I'd like the CFO to lead on that one. CFO.
Thank you, HOD. So the early transfer, it's related to library services. So again, during last financial year, because of the impact of COVID-19, our conditional grant budget was reduced by national by 37.5 million, roughly. So during the current financial year, Provincial Treasury then gave us that amount of money in order to augment the conditional grant. And because we only received the funding in the current financial year, we had to make the transfer payment in April already. And therefore, if you look comparatively, because the pages 315 and 316, it's merely a comparison between what happened in the previous year compared to the current year. So that would then be the reason why it showed an early transfer. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you so much, members. On that note, we are dealing with vote 13. All pages from 315 to 318, which deals with the summary of receipts as well. Any questions? Up until page 320, including the summary of receipts.
Sir, could I?
Member Marais and Member Barnes.
Yes, I just want to, it's a statement more than a question. If the department can tell you what is their contingency plans, I see they got quite sport and recreation, 265 million. I'd like to know where that is going, if that money is going for sport facilities in the poorer areas like Delft, Mitchells Plain, Langa and other places, or where does that money go to? I just hope it's not again that money all goes to Coon Carnivals, and the Coon Carnival is 2 days. The people in the township suffer not only for 2 days, they suffer for years at a time. They need sport recreation in our areas. I went to Delft, I saw nothing is going on. Open field is a place where you dump your dirt. It's not a soccer field that is fenced up or anything like that. I just wanted to drop it in the basket. If you can't answer me on this, I'll answer it in the session in Parliament. I'll ask the question of the Minister. But if you can satisfy me that you have a plan to encourage amongst the youth sport and recreation to keep them away from gangsterism, it might not be necessary for me to get to the Minister in open debate. Thank you.
Member Barnes.
Thank you, Chair. I would like to attach my question a bit with Member Mare that has just spoken. I've noticed on page 319, increased on own revenue from Sport Confederation. I just have interest to know where that money is going to. I've noticed on the same page that majority of the programs, they have a reduction. For example, museum had 1 million over their own revenue. What I wanted to know is that what impact does it have? Because I know that all programs have a reduction except for the increase on Sports Confederation. Now, the impact I want to know on the reduction, and for the increase, what I want to know is that where is that money going to? Thank you, Chair.
HOD.
Thank you very much, Chair. The first question by Member Marais will be taken by Dr. Bauer, and then the second question by Member Barnes will be taken by the CFO. Mr. Janse van Rensburg can add if he wishes, but CFO will lead on the second question. Dr. Bauer.
Thank you, HOD, and good morning, Chair and members. The first question in relation to the facilities, our department has a very small budget in relation to facilities, largely because in terms of Schedule 5 of the Constitution, the facilities is a municipal competence. So in our case, we have received in the last 2 financial years, we've received an amount of 8.5 million for netball facilities. This was earmarked allocations that will serve as a legacy of the 2023 World Cup. So for our purposes, we have transferred money to the municipalities so that they can start building the netball courts, which will then be the upgrade or construction of 20 to 30 netball courts. And we identified netball courts in conjunction with the Western Cape Netball Executive, where these courts should be built because they play on them. So in terms of other facilities, the municipalities will apply to MIG, where they would receive funding if they are successful, and also to the COCTA, where they can also receive, for bigger amounts of money, they will receive COCTA or what is called bigger MIG funding for big projects of 10 million rand, etc. And what we then do, our role as the department, is to then monitor and assist in the norms and standards to ensure that the facilities are within the norms and standards of the federations of their playing standards. In terms of our budget, in the last 6 months, we've been very active as sport and recreation. We have, firstly, our summer games was, our winter games that was supposed to be in Durban was moved because of the 3rd wave and was moved now to December to take place in conjunction with the summer games. So the winter and summer games would have had 14 codes, of which athletics and swimming would take place in March during the March school holidays. Unfortunately, because of the Gauteng now being the epicenter of the 4th wave, the schools championships have been postponed to February. So we will, although our teams have been chosen and selected and all the other things done, we will now have to only send our teams in February to Gauteng at venues that will still be identified. However, since September, when we were when we went to alert level 1, we have been able to conclude the Better Together games. We have also assisted in major events across the province, and members will remember that we had a cycle tour that took place on the 10th of October. We had the Cape Town Marathon that took place the week later on the 17th, as well as the APSA Epic and various other activities that took place. We've also had the District Sport Awards that have started to take place now in November, and will be continuing to have a Provincial Sport Awards on the 19th of February that will be held somewhere in Cape Town or in the Cape Winelands. And we've also hosted, we also participated in Durban in the National Indigenous Games, in which the Western Cape came second, and we sent a team of about 102 athletes to that event. So there has been, and just to note, Chair, that in order for us to get to the teams that travel eventually, we have to have 6 sets of trials in all 6 districts of the Western Cape, the Metro and the 5 districts. And once we have the trials that take place in those, then those winners are then requested to attend an event in Cape Town, the provincial trials. So everything we do is ×6 or ×7 that we have to replicate, hence the reason for our budget. In terms of a member Bond's question about the Confederation own revenue, that related to an event that was first postponed because of COVID. It was called the UCI World Cycling Race, and then the event was called off, and the R1 million that the Confederation had was then transferred back to us, that we then used as a contribution towards the Lions Tour, as the Lions Tour took place in July, and we were asked to contribute towards that, and we then used one of the cancelled events to redirect in terms of a reprioritization of the budget. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you so much, members. It is now 10:01. Please, can I then ask if there's any specific question on any of the annexures?
Nothing from me, Chairperson.
Thank you so much. Members, we have an opportunity in terms of our parliamentary privileges. There's debates happening further in the week as well, and together with our request for information and resolutions directly after this meeting. I will on this note then conclude our discussion on vote 13. I will now at this time again request if there is any member of the public that have since joined us. Mr. Matthews, are you able to confirm that no member of the public is present?
Chair, I can confirm that I've had no requests from any member of the public. It looks like it's only officials and committee members in the meeting.
No, thank you so much. In the absence of any public comment, I will now afford the Minister and the HOD for any brief closing remarks.
Baie dankie, voorsitter. Ek wil eerstens net vir die staande komitee en vir u self sê baie dankie. Dis altyd lekker om na julle toe te kom, en ons weet dat julle dit is vir ons belangrik dat julle opbouende kritiek vir ons gee, anders kan ons nie vorder en ons gemeenskappe dien nie. En dan wil ek ook baie dankie sê vir meneer Matthews, wat ons ook op ons toon hou en alles al die reëlings doen. En dan hê asseblief 'n veilige en 'n wonderlike feesseisoen. Baie dankie.
Baie dankie, minister. HOD.
Thank you, Chairperson. I think Minister has covered me. I would also like to thank the Standing Committee for the support and the guidance and the direction that you always provide. We are going into the 4th wave, and our teams are very much aware of this, and we will ensure that all the programs that we are going to be delivering during this period will take into account the resurgence of the COVID-19. We'd also like to take this opportunity to wish the members a good break, and thanks a lot for all the support that you provide during the course of the year. Thank you very much, Chairperson.
Thank you so much again to the Minister, HOD, and all officials. It is highly appreciated, and we echo the sentiments right back to you, Minister, and the HOD, that we wish you a safe festive season, and to all the officials as well. Thank you so much, Minister and HOD. You are duly excused.
Thank you so much.
Baie danke. Members, in terms of we will just give it a 1 minute. We still have 10 minutes remaining. We have one request for additional information to be submitted in writing. Is there any additional resolutions that any member would have at this time before I table the actual report and ask for any view on the report? Member Botha and Member Van Vogel?
My hand was eerste.
Member Van Vogel?
Ik wil net sê, Chairperson, my hand was eerste geweest.
Ek hoor jy sê dit.
Okay, en ja, Member Van Vogel? Is dit
Nietemin, Chairperson, ek is nog nie seker hoe ons dit gaan formuleer nie, maar my issue is rondom die bou van biblioteke in die verskillende gemeenskappe. Dan vat hulle local labours, arbeiders, teen 'n EPW prys. Ek is nie seker nie, so ek wil graag verstaan, hoe gebeur dit? Word dit onderhandel in die proses waar hulle die tenderproses, of is dit hier by die minister se, of by waar die minister betrokke is? So ek weet nie hoe ons dit kan stel nie, of is die platform wat ek nou gebruik die verkeerde een? Want ek het 'n issue klomp complaints gekry van die bou van die biblioteek in Swellendam, waar mense EPWP pryse kry en die boubedingingsraad het 'n ander prys vir bouers. So ja, dankie Chair.
Baie dankie. Wat ek vir u gaan vra in terme van die resolutions wat ons kan neem, kan u die gedagtes stuur vir die procedural officer en ons kan dit weer rework in terme van u se input asseblief. Member Botha and Member Barnes.
Chair, I already wrote in the chat function that for Wasim just to take note and just for us to get that information. Now, in terms of the heritage site, or what did they talk about? Heritage, what? I just want to, and I'm not going to get an opportunity to do it again, so I have to do it here. I want to ask or request that this committee, it's the Resistance Liberation Heritage route that they are busy with, né?
Yes.
Klink ek of ek vir myself praat, voorsitter?
Ek hoor vir u, kan u vir my hoor nog?
Ja, maar as ek nou reg as ek dit sê?
Dit is korrek, ja. Daai wording wat u nou gebruik het.
Okay, alright, en as deel van ons erfenis, nee, ek wil asseblief hierso die voorstel maak dat 11 Februarie is die datum in ons geskiedenis van die vrylating van ons eerste bevrydingspresident. Nee, dis 11 Februarie 1990.
Ja.
So ek wil asseblief vra of ons dalk daai dag op hierdie erfenisroete kan gaan, veral in die Drakensberg area, want dit was mos nou sy laaste waar sy straf uitgedien het, as ek nou maar dit kan sê. So ek stel asseblief dit voor. Dankie.
Baie dankie. Ek sal dit beslis ondersteun en as die voorsitter sal ek met ons procedural officer onderhandel en ons sal in kontak wees rondom daai versoek, Member Botha. Baie dankie. Member Maree en Member Barnes, 30 sekondes asseblief.
Ja, ek wil net 'n versigtigheid hierso bring. Ek meen almal hou daarvan om vir Madiba lof toe te sing en ek sien die DEA is nie 'n exception nie. Ons is baie lief vir hom geword, maar you can overdo things. Daar's Madiba Laan, daar's Madiba dit, is Madiba huis. Daar is baie ander mense wat opofferings gemaak het. En dit is nie almal net ANC-lede wat opofferings gemaak het. Ek vra net versigtigheid. Het mag populêr wees om so 'n voorstel te maak, maar ons oordoen dit soms. En ons vergeet van al die ander mense, Robert Sobukwe, baie ander mense wat gesterf het in die tronke. En ons noem hulle nie, of hulle nou wit is of bruin of swart. Steven Alexander ook, ek wil net versigtigheid maak om net populariteit na te streef en alles is Mandela en die anders word vergeet van.
Nee, baie dankie. Ons waardeer daai insig wat u nou gegee het. Member Barnes.
Thank you, Chair. I don't know if this is the right time. I just wanted to register my minority rule of not supporting the budget. Is this the right time?
Just give me one moment. On that note, members, I will now, in terms of the deliberations and the discussions that we have had in terms of vote 13, is there any view from any member of the committee? I see Member Bosman, Member Mare, Member Barnes, Member Van Vogel in that order.
Chairperson, I move that this committee supports the budget.
Thank you so much, Member Bosman. Member Mare?
I'm second that proposal. We support the budget.
Thank you so much, Member Barnes.
Ons ondersteun nie as die ANC en die voorsitter het te veel skuwe gebeur gedurende die tyd. Dankie.
Member Van Vogel? Members, in terms of the input that we have received, is our procedural officer, we will then, in terms of the standing committee, support the adjustment appropriation bill B6 2021. I also note that in accordance with Standing Rule 90, the ANC expressed their minority view. Once our procedural officer has captured the information duly, I will read the report for the record. The Standing Committee on Community Safety, Cultural Affairs and Sport, having deliberated on subject vote 13, Cultural Affairs and Sport, in the schedule of the Western Cape Adjustments Appropriation Bill B6 of 2021, referred to the committee in terms of Standing Rule 118, reports that it supports the vote. In accordance with Standing Rule 90, the African National Congress expressed its minority view to not support the vote. Thank you so much, members.
Chair, just say it is not Standing Rule 118, but 188, sir.
188. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Member Mare. Our procedural officer, with 2 minutes remaining, I just want to double check the feasibility. Are we concluded for today, or should we? I wouldn't want us to move over time.
Chair, you are done for the day, but there's some minutes that's left that could be adopted if you want to go through it quickly.
Members, are we able to adopt a set of minutes? That will be highly appreciated.
Let's do it. We know you don't love cultural affairs as much as you love community safety.
Thank you so much, Member Bosman. If we allow our procedural officer a moment to flight the report. our report in terms of our engagement with heritage, with the committee, with the department, as well as the entities. We have a list of requested information. Member Bosman, Member Marais.
Chair, I move that we adopt the report.
Thank you so much.
I second.
Seconded Member Botha. Baie danke. Mr. Matthews, there's no minutes attached to that, eh? Oh, there we go. So sorry. Please check your attendance, members. The minutes basically emanate from the report. I see Member Marais.
That's a legacy hand, Chair.
Oh, okay. Member Botha, do I get a comment from you?
I cannot. I was not in the meeting, Chair.
Chair, I move that we adopt the minutes.
Thank you so much, Member Bosman.
Chair.
And seconded by Member Barnes. Is that a wrap for us now, Mr. Matthews?
Chair, there's just 2 sets.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry, Chair, it's just the last set of minutes. It's the short listing. This is the last set.
Thank you so much. Members will remember our short listing of the Western Cape Cultural Commission as well as the Language Committee. We have duly forwarded the relevant names to the department. Member Marais and Member Bosman. Member Bosman?
Chair, I propose that we adopt the minutes.
Thank you so much, Member Marais.
Sorry, my mic was off. Yes, I have no objections. I second it, sir.
Thank you so much. Members, on that note, I trust that we are able to end our meeting, but once again, thank you so much. We will be seeing each other again during the entire day as well as tomorrow and the week ahead. But thank you for your commitment to this committee, especially Member Bosman. I appreciate it, Member Bosman. But each and everyone, baie danke, our procedural officer, IT support, everyone, it is highly appreciated. Thank you. This meeting is now...
Chair, before you close the meeting, I just want to tell members that I never anticipated when I came back to politics that we will be speaking over laptops. So I do miss all of them, but I pray that God will keep them healthy and safe.
Baie dankie, Member Marais.
Thanks, Marais. It's for you too.
Ons mis jou ook, Member Marais.
Thank you, Member Barnes. Thank you, Mr. Bosman.
We will see you very soon.
Proposing after Member Marais, Chair, I think we must rename one of our committee rooms after him.
The Peter Marais room.
Are we not going for a road first time?
No,
Chair, and the next meeting has been Afrikaans for Member Marais. Please, let's open up in Afrikaans. I'll keep quiet. I won't object that one.
Honorable Barnes, you know how much
we
I
are 5 minutes over time. Thank you so much. Please enjoy the rest of the day and the further committees.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.